Welcome to Stories from the Center of the Universe, the podcast about the human experience.
Strath, welcome to the Center of the Universe.
Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
You're so stared at him.
Kevin's referring to a story we were talking about just before we got started. All right, Jay, you and I went to what some scholars would consider the finest institution in the country, certainly, maybe even in the world.
We're starting off here?
Yeah, why wouldn't we? Yeah, I was a few years ahead of you. When did you graduate?
I graduated in 97.
97, so you were 6 years ahead behind me, which makes me pretty old, and you're getting there too, I guess. Cool. So you played a bunch of sports growing up. Did you do anything besides sports? Because we'll come back to sports.
Not really. When you're so I grew up on a farm, and outside of Verona, we baled a lot of hay and straw. So my dad was an old school Christian, and real disciplinarian. So from the minute you got up to the minute you went to bed, you were working. And he made exceptions for practice. So it was the only outlet to get away was sports. So
I'm playing as much as I
can with every team.
So I tell Flippen this all the time. So I'll be the first one there, and why are we? Hey, it's been 3 hours. Why are we stopping practice? We're good, right? Let's keep going. So it was coach's dream, but you're like,
Coach, you want us to run some more suicides? No problem.
That's right.
I'm loving this.
Yeah. Yep.
So were you naturally strong from birth, or did you become strong?
No, I was a big kid. I was always probably the biggest kid in class. You take a lot of crap for that. Being a big kid, everybody wants to test you. Especially the older kids. If you're bigger than an older kid, they but it makes you tougher, right? Yeah. It makes you better in the long run.
How many fights did you get in between the 5 and 12?
Really not a lot until probably about 5th grade when you started to know you could fight back.
Yeah.
And then it was a lot.
You avoided them before then.
Right. In my 5th grade year, we started to get into.
Were you looking for fights, or just defending yourself?
No, just defending yourself.
And that many guys came after you?
Oh yeah. It's tough, man, because when you would do things so much easier than everybody else, and they would get so jealous and mad and put you down and start picking at you, and you had to start learning to fight back.
Everybody tries to knock number one down, is what I tell people.
That's right.
Yeah.
But at that age, right, you're number one in your little school, in your little area, right?
Kickball. You were the best kickball player in 4th grade. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Small pond, and you ended up playing in the big pond.
That's right.
Yeah, very cool. All right, so you played how many sports growing up?
I played everything: football, basketball, baseball. All the way. Ran some track stuff. Back then, talking about late '80s, early '90s. You did everything.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it is now, where it's so specialized, and people are trying to buy their way into being a great athlete.
Yeah, it's crazy how much specialization there is these days.
No soccer?
No. I probably wouldn't be.
Why are you laughing?
Dude, hey, we got to work out with Bruce Arena back in the 90s.
Yeah, he was the U.S. Olympic coach.
So back then, NCAA wouldn't let you work out with so many times. So we had the optional, clipboard people there taking your name workouts but you had to condition with a soccer team.
Right.
And they were national champs back then.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good way to get
oh, my God, dude.
They won 2 or 3 national championships back then.
Yes, back then, yeah. And I had... I never really thought about it, right? I didn't put soccer down. I didn't pop it up. I just didn't really think about it. But, man, I had so much respect after conditioning with those guys for,
They're just running the whole time.
Oh, my God. They'd start off practice 100-yard suicides every 5 yards. And you can see our football team just all right, the big guys start falling off first.
Every 5 yards?
Every 5 yards.
Oh.
That's their warm-up. Just to get loose. But it was just you could see all the linemen falling off, and then the tight ends and linebackers fall off, and then the skill guys start falling off. And then all of a sudden, all the soccer guys are done. All right, we're ready to practice. We're all water.
That was warm-ups? What?
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But they're not sprinting doing those.
Well,
they're moving at a pretty good clip, but they're not.
They're
sprinting.
moving at a pretty good clip.
Yeah. All right on. So, what was your favorite sport growing up?
Well, because I was taller, man. But I loved in Little League. Baseball was my thing, and always basketball because I was a big kid. But like I said, when all the way up through rec ball, I got somebody picked me out of a rec ball game and said, "Hey, we got this AAU team that's popping up. Do you want to come play for that?" And I gotta tell you, like, that was my big reckoning of, like, you're in an area, you think you're pretty good in, like, the Verona rec ball area, but when you start playing with, like, kids from, like, Chesterfield and Hopewell and Ettrick, the West End, and, like, you got the best kids on, like, we were part of the Richmond Metro Gold AAU team from, let's see, it was probably like 87 through 90. And, like, we went to Las Vegas, played for national championships, played against, like, the big name back then was Randy Livingston, right? He played for Louisiana. And just the level of talent on that team. You had Ed Perry in Holland Springs, tight end, went on to play for the Dolphins. You had Ed Sherrod, big. His dad was big in VCU basketball.
Yeah, back in the early '80s.
Right. And then you had Harold Dean. Everybody knows Harold.
Yeah,
right?
He was awesome. Virginia. Yeah.
John Galloway was on that basketball team, but he went on to play baseball at Virginia. Like, every guy on that team went on to do something great. Like James Pelham and Mike Howard from Hopewell area. Like that, Tony Saunders from Armstrong area. Like, those guys were just beasts. Every guy on that team, I can go back and they all went on to do something just spectacular, like, just great.
Who put the team together?
It was I can't remember. There was like a general manager person that put it together. Coach Alan Cole from Henderson Middle School coached it, and it was incredible. Like, we'd go to Tennessee, we'd go to Florida, we'd go to, like I said, Vegas. Just playing national teams. We played against Allen Iverson. Like, I went and found an old program, and, like, some of the names in it is just, like, unbelievable. Like, the teams that we were playing.
Yeah, Iverson's no joke.
Yeah, I mean, like, but this is back when we were, 13, 14, 15 years old.
But y'all were still pretty athletic even at those ages.
Yeah, but that really, for me, that really opened my eyes to, like, you think you're great in this little pond that you're in, but when you start looking nationally, there's some really talented people in this world.
What position were you playing?
I was
like, how tall were you by then?
I was a tall kid, so, like, probably about then. I played up until my 9th grade year. I was 6'5" in my 9th grade year.
Wow.
So, but I was skinny and scrawny. So, but I was a tough kid. So Coach Cole would always send me in to rattle their big guy. Go in. Like, I'm not lying. I'm not saying I'm this big skill player, was this magic smooth guy, but they would put me in to beat up the big guy and piss him off and, like,
Beat him up with, like, elbows.
Yeah, try to rattle him, post him up, box him out, like, really focus on that stuff and just beat him up.
Any smack talk?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Did you start or did you?
I was rotated in. I'm not gonna lie. Like Harold and a lot of those guys were just they were unbelievable, man. Like,
it's crazy the physiology of certain people and how they can pull certain things off that the average person can't even contemplate.
Well, like, I look back at a lot of those guys, and, like, Ed Sherrod was practicing with the VCU college team at 13 years old.
Yeah.
Harold Dean's practicing with Virginia State University, guys at practice. And so they come into play
And you're playing rec league.
Yeah, they're coming into playing guys 13, 14 years old, just dominating.
Cake, yeah.
But it was, what a fantastic experience. And that's when I learned the value of, like, people just being good people and looking out after you. Like, they see a little bit of a spark in you, and it's totally missing from today's society, right? So coaches are in it to win it. It's my record. At least I feel that way.
Well, there's showcases now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
There are a lot of games.
Yeah, but, like, back then it was like, hey, this guy's got a little bit of talent. I'm gonna put a little bit of effort into him, and like I said, every one of those guys, just morally and just being a good person, a good coach. There wasn't a time when coach wouldn't pull you up to the side and be like, you can beat that guy, right? Like, just encouraging you.
Yeah, positive.
Right. Today it's like, oh, you made me look bad. I'm gonna sit you on the bench and I'm gonna find somebody better.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
Adults now are not the same as adults were then.
No.
And we've had that conversation.
Absolutely.
It's sad. When you find an old school adult, it's almost like you want to hug them.
Yeah.
Because you're right. It's all about how they look and their feelings, and this is about the kids, man. What are we missing here?
If you're coaching, this is my personal opinion, so don't take it wrong.
Yeah.
If you're coaching and you're not trying to develop kids and you're not trying to give them opportunity to move on, not just your kid and your kid's 3 best friends, like in every travel baseball team I've ever been on.
Sure.
But everybody, you're not trying to develop them and help them grow and develop friendships. Like the coaches I'm talking about, like my high school football coach and my Coach Cole from the AAU team. If I pulled up at a gas station today, I would give them a hug, go buy them lunch. I have so much respect for those type of people.
Yeah.
And you just don't see that anymore. Like they're not in it to support you, to develop you, to encourage you. That's the frustrating part because I have boys now. My boys are 14. They're in 8th grade and they're getting ready to go into high school. And I just came up through a situation where every one of the sports teams, I'm like, what are they doing? Like that, like it's my offense or it's my team or it's my, and you're like, dude, develop the kids.
Right.
Like,
all of them. All the kids. They're
right.
on your team. Your job is to coach every kid on this team.
That's right.
So
even the good ones that think they're the greatest in the world, but they don't realize I'm in that little pond.
Right.
And I'm on this little team. And I might be faster than everybody on this little team, but are you faster than everybody on Holland Springs? Or you have faster than everybody in Verona? Or you have like, are you talking to them? Are you encouraging them? Do you get a track coach to help work with them? Or like, it's crazy to me, like the situations that are going on these days. But,
we play a little game called, and he doesn't know this, but it's called Connect the Podcast Dots.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did this
you'll
game
know what
start?
I mean. You've run into a coach recently that is kind of old school, right?
Yeah.
Evans McQueen, right? Is his last name?
yeah, coach,
Yeah.
coach.
Yeah, coach of VCU.
And
right?
that's Clay Meredith's coach who's been on the podcast, friend of the podcast.
Yeah, so that was a blessing. Like one of my sons plays travel baseball, and he plays for the Seminoles McQueen 14U team. And coming to that team has been so refreshing because coach is, he coached at Richmond, he coached I think at Ferrum at VCU, and he pitched in the major leagues. Like so, there's no like questioning your baseball knowledge.
Yeah.
Like the guy's been there, he's done it.
He's at the top of the heap for credibility.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So there's no like, hey, Daddy calls and says wants Billy to play, here, or hey, I got my buddies that want to do. Like, if a kid's, like the refreshing thing, a kid's batting great, he moves up in the lineup. Kid's batting bad, he moves down in the lineup, and that's how it should be.
Sure.
Is it like that everywhere? No. Like we got lucky finding that group. I think we came over 2 years ago to that team for Evan and baseball. So. But it's a rarity. It's such a rarity to find like that type of coach these days in anything and everything. Like,
So the parents just don't have options to find because there aren't enough of those guys around.
that's right.
You got to find one. That's the problem. And how do you find it unless you experience it, right? You can't just go into a tryout and go, well, that looks like one, because there's no, you know what I mean? Like there's no sign above his head that says, hey, I'm old school. I'm going to treat your kid right and develop him. If there was, then obviously we'd all be flocking to that guy. But it's a crapshoot, right? And I'm just getting into it now, like literally on the cusp of it. My coaching staff for Briggs has been rec people, right? And we all like each other and we kind of have the same mindset. But I can see where, and I see why parents jump around sometimes.
Yeah.
I used to think, wow, I can't believe they keep moving their kid. But it's like, well, you want to find a coach who it's about the kid. It's not about, hey, look at me.
Well, some of that's moved because they want their kid to play more. Some of it's because
That's
they want
true.
to find a better
That's a good
coach.
point. Because parents, we've had that discussion too. Parents can be.
Oh yeah, it's tough. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like it in society today. But it's a microcosm of society and what it is, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of me stuff going on these days.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't remember a single coach being about themselves when I was growing up. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, and part of it to me is like we had the older generation of more experienced guys that had been around a little bit that had kind of been through that already, right? So today it's like a lot of guys out of college and like, oh, this guy played college ball. Like I know a lot of people that played college ball are the biggest assholes in the world, right? Just because they played ball doesn't mean they A, know what they're doing, or B, give a shit about anybody else.
They know how to play it.
Right.
Yeah, they may not know how to coach it.
Right. So you get in these situations where the guys that have worked for a little while and developed experience and like kind of get it, like really want to help develop those kids, but finding those guys these days is few and far between. Like, who wants to deal with a bunch of parents who's going to come and
nobody,
right? I'm quitting if my kid doesn't pitch next game, or hey, I want to play shortstop, and we got 5 shortstops that are better than him. So
did your dad ever coach you?
He did, but it was different back in the '80s, man. Like Dad coached me when I was a rec kid. You know what I mean? So
how was that? Was he hard on you?
Well, my dad was never a loud, boisterous, crazy guy. But like back then, one of my best friends, I'll just say his name, Dennis Tate, Randolph Tate's dad. Dennis was crazy as shit. He was like a boxer in the Army, like this crazy old guy. And that guy would get in a fight with somebody in a heartbeat. If he like pushed this kid wrong, or like I remember rec ball scrimmaging the older team, and we were playing football, and I remember him and another dad just started going at it in the middle of our football practice, and the coach made us run. So we were running around the football field, all watching these two adults roll around and fight with all these other parents watching. It's just, but back in the 80s, now everybody would be, be on NBC, and we'd all be in jail.
Yeah, and cops would have to be at every game.
Or somebody would have shot somebody.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
All right, so you stopped playing for school after ninth grade?
So I stopped playing for that AAU team.
Oh, gotcha.
And not great. Like I was more started to get focused on football and stuff. I had an opportunity in Verona. We had always a really strong football program, and coming up, Ed Bullheller just come in my 10th grade year, and we won the regional championship. That's when I started to get a lot of attention. We played Huguenot at City Stadium for the regional championship in 1990, and it's hilarious because like right before halftime, we had Casey Hinton and Ryan Avison, two great big backs, and Coach Buller had maybe 5 plays, and he literally just pounded those two guys. High school, that was our playbook. Run right, run left with one of those two guys.
Well, your offensive line was good too, though, right?
Yeah, that was a good team. Defense was good. That was a great team. And I was a 10th grader on that, so like I was fortunate to be I could catch the ball real well from basketball, right? So that all carried over, and they let me play tight end, and I could catch the ball real well. So like in that game, I made a spectacular catch right before halftime, and the guy that tackled me, Carl Smith, he played for Virginia.
Yep.
From Huguenot. He came up and came up under my legs and lifted me up and flipped me over. But I made the spectacular catch. And from right then, I guess a lot of college scouts were at that game.
Yeah, sure.
I guess recruiting him and a lot of other guys.
Right.
And dude, I got so many letters after that, and it was on. It was game on.
Just after 10th grade, even back then.
Oh yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
So you dropped that ball you're playing at Randolph-Macon. That's what you're saying.
That's right.
That's offensive.
No offense to Randolph.
That's offensive to Randolph.
Yeah. Well, you know what I'm saying.
D1 to D3.
Emory and Henry.
Yeah.
What do you
Emory and Henry's better.
That's right.
They're better actually at football. Yeah. All right,
Sorry, Duke.
So you were playing other sports through high school, but you were really focused on football.
Yeah, well, it's tough, right? Baseball, you're not going to get a full scholarship. Like it was the same way back then. And then basketball, it was I was iffy, right? I'm 6'5", I'm a white guy. And if I could dunk, it looked like a white guy dunking, right? Nothing spectacular.
Right.
And I was a big, strong kid, but nothing. Maybe I would play, maybe I wouldn't, and maybe I go D1 or D2. But football, I was getting all these letters from birthday cards from UCLA or Texas or Georgia or anywhere.
Did they want you as a tight end?
Well, they saw me as a big athlete, as tight end DN, so most of them figured he's going to be a lineman, right? Big, strong guy, big frame,
Put some weight on him.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the story.
Just put muscle and just girth on your frame.
Yeah. Back then.
All right, but defensive end and tight end are more fun.
Oh my God, it was fun.
Yeah.
I had a ball in high school.
Did you try to play tight end or DN?
I
in
did.
College?
Well, at Virginia, it's all about speed, and unfortunately, even today, like I got a lot of friends still in recruiting that I played with, right? That are coaches at a lot of different colleges, from Connecticut to ECU to anywhere and everywhere in between, right? And all of them have this mentality today, is this cookie cutter frame. If you're a linebacker, you need to be 6'2", 6'4", and you need to be 230, 245. You need to run a 4.5, right? And if you don't fit that mold, you're not getting recruited a lot. And it's sad to say that, but it's true, right? If you ever go into these college recruiting boards, they got the starting lineup at the top. They got the backups just below them. Then they got a line drawn with every kid they're recruiting and every position they need. And it might be 100 names on that list, from California to Texas to Maine. And it is like, A, is the guy eligible? Does he fit our frame? And then they start digging, right? You meet all those criteria, then they start digging and figure out. And that's how it was for me. Like, I was fortunate enough. My dad, in the 60s, Ed Bullheller and my dad played together in the 60s for Verona. Eddie went on to play at Virginia Tech. He was Frank Beamer's roommate.
Oh,
I don't know
that's
if you
cool.
knew that.
No, I didn't. Yeah,
So
that's cool.
Frank came to my house like in '92, right? So I was getting recruited heavy in '92. But if you think back to those days, Frank was going to be fired in '92. Like I think he had won like
There's no such thing as Mike Vick.
Yeah, Vic hadn't shown up yet.
right. It was like 2 or 3 wins. You know,
Tech was awful before Vic.
I remember going up for official visit, and it was like their weight room was this little closet. You know, like, and they were working on their facilities, working on like a lot of different things, and like even my coach, who's really good friends with Frank Beamer from back in the day, they roomed together, they played together. Like was even like, like at the time. Remember '92, right? '91, Virginia was #1 in the country.
Yeah.
Right, Herman Moore, Sean Moore, Terry Kirby, like, and
yeah.
they're an hour down the road. Like he's like, you might want to, think about that, right? So that's what got me to kind of head that way. Like Coach Kenny Mack recruited me, and he was a running back coach there forever. But you talk about a great guy. Like that guy was he was like a second dad to me, to all the kids he recruited. Like I think like the coach that recruits you feels kind of responsible for you, and really kind of looks out for you. When you're there. So like if you ever had any problems or issues, like that's the guy you go to.
Yeah.
He's such a good dude. I think he later on, like once I got recruited, once I went there and signed there, you know, like you said, did you try to play, you know, tight end in college? Like it's all time, right? So I went down a little rabbit hole there, but like when the first thing they do is they get all the freshmen to come in, and roughly my freshman class was like NFL Hall of Famers, like James Ferrier, Tiki Ronde Barber, right? And they're all running 40s. They're like Tiki and Ronde are breaking like NCAA track records running their first 40s, you know, like 4.3, whatever. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. I got my cross trainers on and my gym shorts, and like, yeah, it's going to be awesome. But like they were looking
What did you run? Sorry, I didn't even remember.
I mean, back then I think I run like a 4.95.
Okay.
You know, something like that.
You were how big at that point? 6'6", 230?
Yeah, 230 probably.
Yeah, I looked it up.
Nice.
Yeah. So like the first thing they do is run 40s, and then they figure out like, okay, what kind of direction are we going to point these kids in? But you know,
4.95 is probably not getting you to tight end.
No.
Yeah.
Well, you got to be able to outrun linebackers at that point, right?
Right.
4.5,
and they're running
right?
4.5.
Right. So you got to be so that's what they're thinking. So when I first started my first year, like I got put on scout team, and I was a defensive end. Like I got to go into like Jim Reed and Mark Dixon. My fondest memory, like those guys are great guys, by the way. I mean, they were mean and tough and nasty as shit. Like Jim Reed played for the Oilers, Mark Dixon played for the Dolphins. They were all everything. And that's who I had to go against every day in practice. So like just brutal, but they made you so much better.
Right.
So like my favorite, we were prepping for a game, and I was beating them, and I think they were kind of loafing, and you know, Coach Welch just lays into them and cusses them out or whatever, and I still remember blitzing past them, and nobody touched me, and Grove's rolling out, and I just remember stopping and planting and turning to chase Grove. And I remember waking up on the sideline with the nose smelling sauce. Like, are you okay? You're okay?
Who hit you?
Dixon. Like Mark Dixon had just come up and ear hold me when I went to turn, like right in my temple. But you know, we laugh about it. I talked to him about it, and I was like, man, thanks. You know, like it was cool. He's a high school coach now down in North Carolina, I think. Now, but like a lot of those memories are just good times. That when my freshman year, I think that was the optimal coaching staff at the University of Virginia.
Did George recruit you?
Yeah. So George and Coach Mack came to my house, and we had dinner and gave you the whole spiel.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were.
Was George a hard ass?
He was really hard. Well, looking back, he was a GM. He was like an owner. He was like a CEO of a company, right? Doesn't really get to know you. Doesn't really talk to you, but like, hey, you're going to be good. Let me help you. So George, I'm going to be totally frank with you. Talked to me about 3 times in the years I was at UVA.
And he was your head coach the whole time.
Yeah. But he doesn't go around and talk to kids like that. Like you got position coaches, you got offensive and defensive coordinators, and your position coaches. Those are the guys that really.
He's talking to the coaches more than he's talking to the players.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's more of CA. But the coolest story I can give you, my freshman year, when that happened to me.
The ear hole.
Yeah. He came over to my locker, and he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. He said, you got to keep your head up. Like, always keep your head on the swivel.
Thanks, coach.
Yeah, right? But that's
I got that one.
That was the only really nice thing he ever said to me. to be honest with you. But he was such a hard ass and a disciplinary type guy. Right? He wasn't the friendly, I'm going to be your buddy. Hey, how you doing? How's your mom? He never that guy.
Yeah.
But he was a good disciplinarian. Like there was a lot of military guys. Like Phil Monahan was our team liaison, like, you know, during those years. And he was like a retired 3-star general, you know. So like if anybody ever got in any trouble, you had Phil's card. That's who you were calling. You know what I mean? So like any late night activities or anything,
I get it.
Right, that's who you were calling. But like it was very tight ship. No disrespect. Like you were running, you ran or had extra activities if you talked back, if you showed up late to a meeting, it was very structured.
Yeah.
And back then I think it was needed, right? You're a bunch of 18-year-old knuckleheads from everywhere across
brains aren't fully formed at that point.
Right. Right. So, but like in sports today, like that, what Bronco Mendenhall's doing now, to me, is great. Like it's more disciplinary like that. You earn it. You go out and earn your number, earn your place on the team. The problem with them today, to me, is like back then we had that number 1 season, Herman Moore, Sean Moore. Like those are the guys.
That was my senior year.
So
at Virginia.
Yeah, he met Herman Moore. He might tell you about that later.
Yeah, I'll tell you off recording. I think I've told that on recording.
Yes, you
have.
have.
Like Jim Dombrowski used to come back and work out with the team, and Ray Roberts, like all those guys.
Ray Roberts. Have you ever played basketball with Ray Roberts? He is unbelievable at basketball. It's crazy how good he is at basketball. He's dropping threes from like 5 feet behind the line. He's dunking effortlessly, and he had to weigh 315, 320 when he was at Virginia. It's crazy.
Athlete.
Yeah, so like all those guys were on my recruiting trip. Like we go out to dinner, all of them are there. You know, they're drawing you in. So like all these really great athletes from Hampton, Norfolk, like Chris Slade and all those guys were from that area. So like they had the in. So all those guys, you know, I look at our backfield like Joe Williams and Joe Crocker and Paul London, like the whole defense, James Ferry and Jamie Sharper. Yeah, right? I gave Jamie rides home all the time to his house right here off, you know, in Richmond. Yeah, but just that whole line, you know, that whole defense was just amazing. And then I look at like the we had Charles Way and back then it was Kevin Brooks. Before Tiki, and then Tiki came in, and then what's the guy's name?
While you're thinking about that, Chris Slade and I were on the same co-rec basketball team.
That's awesome.
Well, I was better than him. I'll just say that for the record.
Well, so and on that note, like there was a bunch of football guys. My first 3 years probably, all the football guys for intramural league would end up playing a bunch of the basketball guys.
Oh yeah,
would get a league together, right? So and it always
like off the books intramural kind of
yeah. So like and it always came down to the championship game was all the football guys versus all the basketball guys. So like when I was younger like that, like we were in there with like Junior Burrow and all those guys just pounding away. But I mean that was awesome and fun. But like the crazy story I got for basketball, like we were on outside court. It was the summertime. And it was probably 96, something like that.
Set the stage. Where were the courts exactly?
The courts over there by the bookstore.
Okay,
The outdoor courts.
Yep.
At the dorms over there.
Yep.
And we're just playing basketball, and there was a big time recruit. His name Pernell Whitaker. Big time recruit. Shouldn't even been on campus, right? But just was there playing pickup game. Yeah, a bunch of basketball players, a bunch of football players.
This is a 5-star guy, right?
Yeah. I mean, he was a big time recruit.
Yeah.
And then we were playing against what was it? Golly, it's I can't think of the guy's name. I'm terrible with names.
That was on your team?
Yeah, the football guy.
Yeah.
But he played for the Patriots and went on Maurice Anderson. So Maurice and him are battling underneath, and it's nothing but like normal physical basketball. Yeah. Right? Back up, elbow, right? You know,
but nothing crazy.
Nothing crazy. They're doing a little talking, a little back and forth talking, and it gets a little crazy. And the guy pulls out a box cutter and slices Maurice from his ear to his cheek, and his cheek folds open. Like you can see his teeth and we're all sitting there like
this is over a basketball game?
Like a pickup game on the rec court outside, just
This was a 5-star recruit that did this.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
box cut his career right on out the door.
Dude, like that. We had to have an emergency team meeting, and they're like, "Please don't take any action against this guy." Like those guys were after him, like trying to hunt him down and find him. But like, yeah, the poor guy, like just screwed his entire career, lost a scholarship, like, and like to see all that happen
over a pickup
game, nothing. Just this 18-year-old, emotions and hormones, I guess, going everywhere. It's crazy.
But most 18-year-olds aren't even carrying a box cutter to a basketball game.
Well, that's the thing. Like, we played the whole game. Like, how the hell did he have a razor blade in a sock? Like, I wouldn't even. How would you even do that?
Ric Flair used to keep one in his finger. So I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
It's hard to play basketball with one in your finger.
I don't know. I think he could probably do it.
But Big Mo, he was a D tackle, went on to play for the Patriots. Like,
Good for him.
Yeah, got a Super Bowl ring out of it.
Did he get? I guess UVA stitched him up.
Oh yeah,
right away.
Yeah, the trainers got to him and took care.
No
of
one
him.
ever knew what happened.
That's
Till now.
He went home for
It's been revealed.
Podcast.
He went home for Thanksgiving, and his mom's like, "What happened?"
Almost 30 years later, it's been revealed here.
What's up with the stitches?
I think the statute of limitations is long gone.
Yeah.
All right. So, at what point did you realize you were going to be a lineman, like an offensive lineman?
So it was after my first year. We were at the CarQuest Bowl, and Coach Petchel.
This is back when UVA went to bowls pretty regularly.
Yeah, we went to bowl. We were fortunate enough. I got a chance to go to a bowl every year. So that was incredible. We were at Miami. We were at the CarQuest Bowl. We were playing Boston College. And afterward, I walked up to him, Coach Petchel, was like, "Hey man, I'm really how do you get?" I forgot what I was talking to him about, like some specific move. And he went, "You're probably going to be a lineman next year." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
We should probably stop talking about defense.
Right. But I love Coach Petchel. He's a good guy. But yeah. It was like we're gonna put some weight on you. Like John Gamble was our strength trainer my first year, and I told Kevin this several times. So I go in at 230. I come home at my first year at like 270, just as big and strong as I've ever been. And I totally remember my first year. It was like they go in, they take your BMI, you do your lift tests, you do your jump tests, you do all your stuff, and he was like, "Okay, here's your dolly of unmarked supplements. Here you go." And you're like, okay, protein powder, I guess. Like the only thing that was marked was these Ensures, like these 3,000 calorie drinks.
Oh God!
He was like, "Drink those in between meals. You're fine."
Yeah.
So you put on 40 pounds, and what's the time frame?
Let's see. It was May. Well, no, I would have got up there June, July, and then you come home at end of the year, so
6
a
months.
year.
Oh, it took a year. Okay,
Yeah, roughly a year.
Well, that's not.
I mean, I can gain 40 pounds in the next 6 months.
Right now, well, metabolism now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's apple pie and ice cream. It's not the same thing.
Yeah. But
All right. So you end up. Were you disappointed?
I was, because going through high school, it was awesome to be like an H-back and a tight end and a defensive end.
It's fun.
It was awesome. And then, but once you get to that level, everybody gets faster. And any athlete will ever tell you, as far as they go, you go to college, everybody's a step faster. You go to the pros, everybody's a step faster. So it's like you take high school, the top 1% of the 1%. Then you go to college, take the top 1% of the 1%, and then you got the best of the best playing in the NFL. But just I'm an old school guy, and it's hard for me to watch the NBA and the NFL and baseball these days, because it's like I sprained my toe and I'm out.
Right.
And especially the NBA. I used to love the NBA. My favorite player in the NBA was James Worthy. That guy would battle. He was a beast underneath the basket.
Yeah, he got burned in a fire, right, and came back, played pretty quick. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
I mean, those guys were tough as nails. And you put, and everybody's like, "Oh, LeBron's great. LeBron's the best. LeBron's great." I'm put LeBron against James Worthy. That guy would be bleeding his ass off and crying to his mama and suing the NBA for sorry. And it's not like you're comparing him to Jordan. It was that's the way it was back then.
Yeah.
And then they put all these rules in place, and now it's spread the floor, put your superstar in front. And it's
jack up threes.
Yeah, and I told Kevin loves it, and he hates me for saying this, but it's the most boring thing in the world to watch now. There's no defense in the NFL. There's maybe Russell Westbrook, who tries,
Right,
who
right.
gives the impression of playing defense.
Well, they'll play defense in the fourth quarter, maybe the last 4 minutes.
But like it's nothing like it used to. Like the Jazz and the Pistons and the
They were playing hard for 4
oh my
quarters.
God,
Yeah.
they beat
It's
the hell out of
different.
each other. They
It's
beat the
different.
hell out of each other.
It's different. But, we talked about, and we can go back to AAU. I think the AAU culture has kind of changed basketball. Like, these guys play together now when they're young and they're coming up. Like, Durant doesn't hate LeBron. And, back in the day, man, those guys did not like each other.
No.
Right? I mean, there was no love lost at all.
Oh, like you look at Magic and so Magic and Bird. Everybody knows they saved the NBA in the 80s. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
but like to your point, man, like Michigan State and those guys playing for college championships. There was a competition there, a drive there, and then they get to the pros and it just carried over, and you had this passion and it got everybody engaged and involved.
Yeah.
But now, hell, these guys are lucky to play a year.
Yeah.
And then they're off to the NBA, and it's hey, I just want to score 150 points and then play no defense and then make it boring as shit. It is what it is.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I watched a full NBA game.
Yeah, and it's sad because I want it to be physical and I want it to be good, but it's just not. Like
It's a 3-point contest.
and people have different opinions, and this is just one guy's 2 cents. But yeah, I want it to be so good, and I try to get into it. But like after like the watching these guys go down the court and I used to love like the random big guys, Bill Laimbeer and Shut Down Shaq, right?
Mm.
You're like, who the fuck would look at Bill Laimbeer?
And say, he's not going to
Or,
be anything.
Like Luke Longley. That's what I meant. Like Luke Longley and
3
Shaq
rings.
going at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Luke has 3 rings, right?
Yes, Luke does.
Yeah.
Thank
But
you.
like you
Thank
would
you,
never-
Michael.
right. Yeah, that guy was the best ever. For him to do that against the defenses that he had to play against. Yeah.
Don't tell LeBron fans that, though. Don't.
I'm sorry. LeBron is to me. He was a very good high school athlete, and the fame and the stardom and everything was thrust on him. He's driving Hummers in high school, right? He never had to work through that rough college years of building it up and earning it. And then he has a big mouth, and it's hard.
A lot lately, especially.
Yeah, it's hard to get behind the guy. But yeah, everybody's got his own.
Yeah, no, you're right. Everybody has their own flavor.
But James Worthy would beat the shit out of Luke Longley. I mean, he beat the shit out of LeBron James by the far.
Where were they go to college?
UNC, man.
Come on. Don't,
Yeah.
he knows it.
Hey, there's so much UVA on this podcast right now. I have to get some UNC in there. Okay.
I can turn your mic off pretty easily.
Probably so. I'll yell. You'll still be able to hear me.
Good. All right. So wait a minute. You're going to play line. Were you a guard, center, tackle?
They had me at tackle, and I was like a backup tackle. I'm gonna be honest, but it was my career. It just like
Were they bed checking you before the game, the night before?
oh yeah.
Okay. Not everybody got bed checked.
We had to stay in a hotel. Like that's what people don't realize. Like you kind of get spoiled when you're D1, right? So the night before games, they put you in a hotel because they want to make sure you're in
They
bed.
didn't do that when I was there. I didn't play obviously at UVA, but those guys were. One of my fraternity brothers was on the team, and he would occasionally get bed checked. I think he might have been like a 3rd string right guard or something, but he was going to possibly play some in the game, and they bed checked him in our fraternity. I'm like, oh wow. So they weren't going to hotels in the late 80s.
Hey, Jimmy, you're playing tomorrow. They just came and checked on you.
Glad you're not drunk.
No, but they treated you good. Like you stayed at the best hotels and you flew everywhere. The only place we drove was probably Tech, and even then, it wasn't too bad. But yeah.
Any fun party stories from hanging out with the fellas?
So that's
at
what
UVA?
people don't realize. Like when they pay for you to go, like don't get me wrong, there's time that you can go. Obviously, you go out and hang out and have a good time. But when you're there and they pay for you to be there, yeah, you don't understand. The off season is the hardest season in the world. Like you get up at 6, you do your morning workouts, you go to class from 8 to 2. You can't have any labs or anything like that. So those guys,
you had 3.5 years of working out all the time.
every day.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then you go to practice, and then you go to meetings about practice, and then George was great about making sure kids got through school. So like if anybody was in academic trouble, like 7 o'clock, you were at study hall. If you had a below C average, you were there. Period. Wasn't any question.
Yeah.
And if you weren't there, they'd come get you and bring you. Like it was like that. They had a good staff, but like looking back at it, like that means he really cared and wanted people to get through.
It wasn't just about playing football.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Develop your skills outside of school. When he had a great academic department, and those people really cared about you. There was a lot of just really great people. Jerry Capone was. He's still up there. He wasn't like a director of football operations, but like that guy made a lot of the operations happen, and he was friends with all the kids and knew what was going on. Just a genuinely good guy, and he's still there. So that's it's awesome to see him and catch up with him as well.
Who were you rooming with when you were there?
So I had 6 guys that we roomed with all 4 years, and it was Walt Derry. He was the tight end. Doug Karczewski was the tackle. He went on to be a captain. I think he played for Green Bay for a while in the Jets. He got drafted by the Jets and played for Green Bay for a little while. Rafael Garcia. So
kicker.
Yeah, everybody forgets about Raph, but like Raph is like a UVA legend. Like he broke all these records, and he's the most jolliest. He's a kid from Spain that was the most funnest, like laid back. He was friends with everybody. Just this jovial Spanish guy.
Everybody liked him.
But you talk about crazy stories. Raph used to get in so much trouble and it'd be like diplomatic immunity. He'd wreck a car a year, get a new car. They call us to come pick him up.
He came from a couple of bucks. It sounds like.
I guess his parents imported curtains, and we never knew what that really meant. But it was like we never had a curtain in our little shitholes that we lived in.
Right. Curtain must mean something else.
But it was Trevor Benton. He was a guard, but that guy was pound for pound probably one of the strongest guys on the team. He was insanely strong. He compressed the disc in his back squatting like 800 pounds or something crazy.
Well, I guess so.
Yeah, I mean, but that guy was a good dude. He was an old farm kid. Brian Owen, he was a walk-on that earned a spot as a wide receiver. He's like a slot wide receiver. Brian was awesome guy. I think that's it. Yeah, like that group of guys, us 4 stayed together probably 3 years, and then our last year we all spread off. Like Trevor came back, his girlfriend moved in with him, and Walt and Doug moved in together. But there was the other guy, Matt Link. He was our center for a while, his senior year. But yeah, it was just an awesome group of people to come in with. And
how were Tiki and Rondé there? I mean, were they tight? They're twins, right? So
yeah. So they get a bad rap, right? So athletically phenomenal, right? And they weren't tall guys. They were like 5'9", 5'10",
yeah,
but super fast. Like both of them, just phenomenally speed-wise fast, but just genuinely good people, right? So one got an engineering degree or architecture degree, but both very smart guys and both very good people. They were good to everybody. Like if you were the worst guy on the team or the best guy on the team, they were just nice to you. Good people, like knew their wives, knew Tiki's first wife. But yeah, like just genuinely good people. There was a time there when we got out of college, right? We did the wedding tours.
Yeah.
You know, everybody gets married, so you go to different places and hang out with them. So that was pretty cool.
You keep in touch with any of these guys?
From time to time, I know like Walt and I am, and we'll try to meet up at games. But at this age, it's a weird age, right? Because we all had the kids at the same time, so we all have kids playing sports every Saturday. So we try to get back to games, and when we do, we try to meet up and tailgate and stuff and hang out a little bit.
Right.
But like this group right now has all got kids. It's cool because some of those kids are getting recruited now and going different places. I just like Walt's daughter, I think, accepted a scholarship for lacrosse at JMU. That was awesome.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, good to see kids succeed like that.
What about your boys? My
boys are they play. So Evan plays football and baseball, but like he wanted to play basketball, but it's things have gotten so specialized now. Like baseball workouts go all year long.
You have to commit to like 11 months of baseball. You can't do it.
Or like football. Like football has workouts are starting now. Like my boys are going. Like one of the reasons we're going to Hanover High this year, and my boys are going to be playing for Sam Rogers. And let me tell you something, dude. When we talked about the coaching in the old school,
Sam's an old school guy.
Oh my God! Like he is. You earn it. And
nobody's worked harder at playing football and now coaching football than Sam Rogers.
Yeah, and just his methodology. Like the first thing he said is like, when I was talking to him about bringing the boys over there, the first thing out of his mouth was like, Jay, if they come football players or not, great, but but he cared more about, like, he's a spiritual guy, right? And he was like, I want to make them good men, good fathers, and good husbands, and that comes first to me. And like, there's this whole integrity and honor and principles that he installs in all his players, that whether they want to be a paratrooper, a plumber, or the president, right? He's helping them set goals to go do whatever they want to go do. Like, I get it. Not everybody's cut out for college or whatever, right. But like, whatever they want to go do, like, he's like, oh, you need to set some goals. Like, what are those goals? Have you even thought about it? Like, a ninth grader and a senior might have different goals.
And a lot of their parents aren't talking to them.
No, absolutely not. So like, to hear that, it's just like, angels singing in the background. I'm like, heck yeah, like, I want to send my kids and see what they can do.
Everything I've heard about him is he's absolutely what he talks.
Yeah, and
he walks it.
The problem is, and no bad dogs, like, either way, like, that program will get turned around, but it's just, I think they need some good athletes to help turn it around. Like,
they absolutely do. So they're going to start as freshmen.
Yeah. So they were 8th graders this last year. They played for Mechanicsville. Because of the COVID situation, they got to play JV for Mechanicsville.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But they did great. Both of them did great. Evan, my son, scored the first touchdown at the new Mustangs or whatever. He was doing awesome at running back, and my son Gavin was a defensive end for JV. They both started, and they did a great job and got to play a lot. So
that's the first time I've heard the nickname for the new high school.
Yeah, me too. Actually, I didn't know that.
I had no idea.
I don't get into
Mechanicsville
that.
Mustangs.
Yeah.
So before we go too much further here, can we talk about the apple of your eye, though, Taylor? We haven't brought Taylor up yet.
Well, I usually end on that, but
my bad. And Taylor's not his wife. Taylor's his daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, so
we should absolutely talk about your daughter.
She's 17. She played a little lacrosse for a while, but now she's looking at colleges and stuff like that and figuring out what she wants to do. And that whole journey is just an absolute joy. I'm so looking forward to flipping that bill.
I started that about a year ago. It's a lot of fun.
Girl dads, that's what y'all are.
Yeah. It's tough, man. It's been tough for me.
You cleaned your shotgun recently.
I don't need a shotgun.
I don't either.
That's true. You don't,
crazy.
Either one of you need that.
That's awesome. No, but Taylor's awesome. It's like, she definitely keeps us level-headed because we get fired up about our. Like, the boys are easy, man. You slap them in the back of the head and get on them and yell. But like, she comes up to you, those puppy dog guys. You become a puddle on the floor.
It's much more complicated.
That's right. That's right.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And not as verbal as you'd like at times too. It's weird. Yeah. Well, so Hanover High, I think I told the story on one other recording. Their team was pretty good when Sam played.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to mention any names here, but they got to a place where they would require 3 workouts or 4 workouts every week during the summer, which is no big deal. That had been happening for a long time. But the rule was if you missed more than 3, you were off the team. So if you took a week of vacation with your family to the beach and grandma died that summer, you were off the team. Yeah. Doesn't make any sense. They went from, and I've told Kevin this story 20 times. My son played on the undefeated middle school team. Those kids, those 8th graders that were undefeated as 14-year-olds, by the time they were seniors, 2 kids from that entire team even played on the high school team. Now you tell me what that is. Yeah. That's all about the culture from that coaching staff. Yeah. They're not there anymore, and that's part of the reason that they're not there anymore. But it was sad for me to watch. My son enjoyed playing football, but he went to their talk before summertime and said, I don't want to play with those guys.
Yeah, and so my boys worked out with Siege Performance, and that's Alec Eberly and Nick. What's his last name? Summers, I think. But both those guys played college football, and they developing linemen and developing kids and stuff like that. And they told me the same thing that Sam and that coach stuff had developed that personality. And I think probably, and I don't know. This is speculation on my part, total speculation. But I think maybe Sam was one of those guys that outworked everybody when he was coming through. So if he had a workout, he'd get the 5 workout to go to the workout, right? So. And then he'd stay late to work out after the workout.
He worked out all the time.
Right. So, he had this drive and this passion. And maybe, when he first came on at coaching, he expected. And kids today, need to be motivated and need to be inspired. There's not too many Sam Rogers out there. And maybe, this is just me speculating, maybe at that first couple, when you don't see that, right? And you're not getting that back. Maybe it's like, hey, I'm fresh, I'm new out of college. Let me take a step back and kind of say, okay, not every kid's wired that way,
right?
But let me help them get there.
No, Sam's coming in
Right.
great. I mean, I think everybody likes him at this point. Yeah, I think everybody's glad to have him back at Hanover High.
Yeah, and he says like I don't have to coach. Like I'm here as a path to develop these kids and to make them better people. Like he's using football as an opportunity to do that, and like that's awesome. The only other place that I hear doing that is Holland Springs, Coach Lauren Johnson. Like when you sit down and talk to those kids and see what and listen to what they're saying, like those coaches give a shit about them.
Yeah.
Like they from rec ball to
and kids know when they don't.
Oh yeah. Like when you get a kid that thinks you care about them, they walk the wall for you.
Yeah,
They'll do anything they want.
every time. Yeah,
right. So it's like I said, like other, like I'm not down in the Mustangs or anything, but like that, the whole culture there needs a gigantic overhaul. Like it is just that. It's not that they're not running the right X's and O's. It's not that but like the entire culture of how you handle yourself as a person, respect you have for yourself, respect you have for other people, your work ethic, how you show up to practice, how you like, that's the culture thing. That's the, okay, let me start looking and getting all these, like my wife's a head cheer coach there, and I gave her a hard time because she just started it this year, and there was a young lady that got a cheer scholarship. And, I asked her, I was like, what schools are you calling? Like, have you talked to the girls? Like, do you know what they want to do? Like, do some of them want to go some places? Like, have you called any places to see are they eligible? Are they not? What are some things they should be doing? Like, what are you doing as a coach? And she looked at me, she's like, I didn't even think about doing that. And you're like,
most coaches don't.
Like, how do you not, if you're a high school coach, how do you not do that? Like, that's the whole purpose of your coaching tenure there. And if you do that, then winning's a byproduct. And those kids will start to develop relationships, and then their little brothers and their kids start to develop relationships, and that's how you become successful. But like coaches do not get that. Like I just, it baffles my mind.
Well, she just didn't know, right?
Right. Well,
but somebody that coaches
right.
should know that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it should be innate in what you're doing when it comes to coaching kids.
Yeah, and like I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of really great people. Of all backgrounds, of all cultures, come up and just really support you and encourage you and motivate you and give you opportunities. And then it's on you to take advantage of them. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, like in college, in high school, I really focused a lot. I worked out all the time. And my goal was to get a scholarship. And Ken Willard, right? Verona, great, played for San Francisco, like superstar back in the 60s, played with my dad. And at that regional game in 1990, he sat beside my dad in the stands and wrote down on a napkin, like, take the SATs as many times as you can, starting in 9th grade. Like, go talk to your guidance counselor, see what classes you need. Like, nobody tells you that stuff.
Right.
Like, who works on the off-field stuff? Right. If
it's either your parents or nobody.
Right. And your parents don't know. No. So, like, who knows to tell you? Like, so I got a little form I give kids all the time. And it tells them that a lot of those same things, like, that, schools are like, don't take the SATs because you're going to fail. Take the PSAT to learn the content. And it's like, take the SAT so you know how to take the test.
Right.
Right. You got so much time for math and English and what you got to write out, but you get comfortable with it, and it doesn't take your best score. So, like, take 9th grade and start taking it. Like, what's it going to hurt?
Yeah, they do super score now, so you can.
Yeah, and the argument, everybody's like, oh, well, COVID, right? COVID came along and they're not requiring that anymore. Like, they're not requiring it this year, but like, why not give yourself an advantage over everybody else?
Yeah, they're still giving them.
Yeah, all right. But nobody tells parents that. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Unless one of the parents works in the school system and they know how things work and they know what they should be focused on.
Yeah. Yep.
That's cool, man. All right, so did you play significant time at all?
I got to play here and there, especially like 96. Like we played Central Michigan, NC State, games like that where we're pretty good. So I got to play occasionally. I was on we had like a Rhino package where it was like put in the extra.
A third tackle kind of thing.
Yeah, third tackle, kind of blocking tight end type deal. I'd get in some. But yeah, I didn't focus like I should. When John Gamble left so that was what I was going to tell you. Like, after that first year, we had a lot of coaches left. So John Gamble left and went to the Dolphins. Went with Terry Kirby down to the Dolphins. Coach, one of the best coaches we had, Coach Groom, went over to Michigan State. He's still there, but he was our lineman coach. So after my first year, they didn't hire back a lineman coach. They hired like Coach O'Brien, who's the offensive coordinator, ran the offensive line. So it was like, it stopped being about, hey, here's your technique, here's your form, here's how you fire off the ball, here's how you get underneath, here's how you do your. It stopped being about all that. It started being about like, all right, I'm running this play. Do you know what the fuck you're doing?
Make
like,
sure you're in the right place.
It's like, okay.
Sounds like a fun guy.
And then
that's crazy at that level though, because that was after they were number one in the country.
So like that's the thing I did. And then 2 years after that, the guy that recruited me, Coach Mack, left. He went to North Carolina. His wife was living in North Carolina, but like I felt this big tension, and whether it's true or not, like Coach O'Brien and Coach Welsh, like so. We started getting into that 96, 97 time frame, and it was like Coach O'Brien was wanting to step up and be a head coach, and it was a lot of clashing.
He ended up at NC State at some point, right?
Well, he went to Boston College.
Oh, that's right.
For a couple of years,
yeah.
and then went to NC State. But like, I just, and no disrespect, I just didn't get along with Coach O'Brien at all. Like he didn't teach anything. We clashed, we bucked heads, and like obviously when you're a position coach, that doesn't work out well for you.
Right.
But it was weird, man. Like you'd be in practice, and Coach Welsh would start debating Coach O'Brien about how to run the play, and then they would never decide on it. And like, okay, go run it. And you're like, well, Coach Welsh wants me to pull.
Which
Coach
version?
O'Brien doesn't want me to pull, so. And then you pull, and you're like, oh, fine, you're taking his side. And you're like, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. What the hell y'all telling me to do here?
Between two parents.
Right.
Did y'all have a good record that year? Because you had Tiki and Rondé on the team.
We did have Tiki and Rondé. Like,
He couldn't mess that up.
no. And Thomas Jones backing him up.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, wow.
That was, I mean, dude, you talk about
Who was a quarterback that year?
the talent. So Groh was a quarterback for a while, and then Aaron
Brooks.
came in. AB, funny stories about him. That guy's hands were dynamic. He just wrapped his hand about the ball. But I still remember his first year. Like I think I was 2 years older than him, and he when he first came into practice, he'd throw a ball 5 yards and just rip somebody's head off. Like you get a little nervous. You know, coming out of high school, guys coming at you, and he just he's like breaking people's hands.
Super strong arm. Didn't understand touches first few times out.
Right. Right, but even that group, like I know Kevin said you guys had Wally Rayner on, so him and his brother Jay got to play with them a couple years. Great, awesome people.
Was Wally as intense as he comes across?
Yes, he was. He was intense in practice. He was intense in the game. Like, have you ever heard him? I told Kevin on the way over here. Wally came and talked to so Mike Robinson does this spring football league, and every year they get together with all the coaches. They talk about the rules, and Mike always has a couple of his friends or a couple of NFL guys come in. Talk to the group, and usually they're pretty level-headed. And, hey, sportsmanship and all that'd be good. And
Richard Sherman was there one time.
Yeah. Well, like Mike used to have a camp with Richard Sherman and Marshawn Lynch and all those guys.
That's right. Yeah.
But like, Wally gets on stage and he's dropping F-bombs and he's so intense, and he's like, "You gotta kill people, you gotta bring them fire, you bring them in, I don't care what you say, MF," and you're like, holy shit, calm down, man. But yeah, that guy's intense.
These are campers sitting down listening to these guys.
No, these were the coaches.
This is the coaches meeting. I got you. Yeah.
But yeah, it was funny.
Wally seemed like a good guy to know that back then.
He is. Deep down inside all these guys, like you form a brotherhood with them all. Like you go up and see them today, and they give you a hug. Like when you sweat and bleed and work and hard, like that's what people. You form a bond with people. Like, and so from anybody, I could call Anthony Poindexter today, coach in Connecticut, and just shoot the shit with him.
He's a head coach there now, right?
No, I don't think he's a head coach. I think he's
D coordinator.
Yeah. But that's the type of thing. There's a guy, Wayne Lindenberg. He coaches at Wake Forest now. Like, there's guys that we play with that are coaches anywhere. Like, that you can call up and just shoot the shit with if you want. Like, just good people. But yeah, a lot of these guys went on to the show and did their thing for a couple of years, and they come out, and a lot of people. It's awesome to see like Mike Robb or Tiki, do his talk show and all that kind of stuff.
Tiki's on the air every day.
Yeah, CBS doing that Tiki and Turney, I think.
Yeah.
And Rondé's kind of quiet, right? Like I don't know what Ronnie's doing these
I
days.
thought he was doing some analysis.
I think he is. I think he works for like Fox or somebody.
Yeah.
He was doing that for a while.
He was doing color commentary for games.
That's what
on
it
Fox.
was. That's what it was. Yeah.
I don't know if he's still doing it or not, though.
Yeah, I don't either.
But both of those guys are super intelligent, super smart. Like they had great agents. You know what I mean? Like once you get at that level, like I did a couple combines, but nothing really ever came up. But like your agents are setting you all up for that. Like Michael Robinson's agent that he had in football, like setting him up for like the NFL Network. And
Yeah, Mike Rob's killing it.
right, all those gigs and stuff that he's doing. But even today, like Mike Rob's a good guy. Right, he'll come up to you and he just talk to you like normal, an old Verona guy. I used to do his camps. I got a bunch of pictures with like Richard Marchand and Andre Branch, the old Verona guys that come back and hang out. Like they get pretty wild the night before, but they show up to the camp ready to. But it's awesome what they do for the kids there. Like to come back and give they don't have to do that. Like
No, they don't at all.
no, I mean they're flying over from the West Coast just to hang out for a weekend and support the kids. So that's awesome.
That is cool.
That's really cool. How long have you been married?
Ooh, so I got married probably a year out of college, so 99, 98. Like I'm looking at Kevin like, do you remember?
Don't look at me.
Can you not help him?
I hadn't met you yet, so I can't.
Yeah, it was 99. This is September 99.
So it'll be 22 years coming up.
22 years coming up.
How'd y'all meet?
We were high school sweethearts. So
Okay.
like we dated in high school, and then when I went away to Virginia, we broke up for like 2 years or something like that, and then I was home.
You were on a break. We were on a break.
I came home.
2 years is more than a break, I think.
Yeah. And we just started going back out again. So
No, only the one break.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, right on.
And you married into the family.
Into the family. See, I would have never met Flip.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be sitting here, maybe.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
You
right.
said maybe. I like how you did that. He'd have got you anyway.
Yeah, you know I would have. I have several angles at every
Yes, you
potential
do.
guest. Yeah, it's all good.
Very cool.
I'm very, very glad you showed up tonight. What else you want to talk about?
No,
What are you doing these days?
So
How do you
I'm-
spend time these days?
He worked at the bakery.
we're going to
You've been at the bakery for a while.
24 years.
Whoo! I made it to 21, man.
It's tough.
It's
It's tough. Like I'm just gonna be totally upfront.
no, I hear you, and
I-
I have a feeling we're not going to talk about all the reasons it's tough.
That's
but
right.
yeah, it's I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yep. Special place. We'll just leave it at that.
it is a special.
Yeah, all three
place.
of us worked at the bakery.
For
It's
quite
all
a few
good.
years. I think you said 24.
Yeah.
You're 21. I'm 18.
Yeah.
So do the math. I can't.
Well,
I didn't go to UVA.
how are you doing the math on your time there? Didn't you show up 3 different times or something? Are you counting the 2-week
I
stretch
did,
that you did?
But yeah, it was 13. and five.
Hey, Jay, I went out of my way to help him get a job.
Oh, you
he
didn't go out of
he
your
lasted
way.
14 days.
It was more than that. It was 16.
I was gonna say, I don't think you got to 3 weeks, man.
I did turn 2 weeks notice in though. So hey,
Did you?
I did definitely.
And you did that on the second day?
My dad raised me right. I put the 2 weeks. I didn't work the 2 weeks, but I put the 2
Right,
weeks.
let's put it in. That's awesome.
Not many people do work the 2 weeks super hard.
They wouldn't let me.
So when you went to UVA back in the 80s, what was it like? So
You're talking now like it was 150 years ago.
It
well,
was.
it was. But like I remember my recruiting trip. Gary Steele was there. Mike Groh was the guy that showed me around on my recruiting trip.
Mike Groh was actually in my fraternity, but we didn't overlap.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, I think he came there the year after I graduated.
I got you.
Tell the Herman Moore story again.
You want to hear it again?
Yeah, tell it again.
Did you ever meet Herman?
I got to meet him.
Okay.
Yeah, I meet him several times.
I've never heard anything bad about the guy. Like nobody's ever said a negative word about Herman. And if I was ever going to say anything negative about him, it would be based on what he did to me this one day. It's the only time I've ever been around Herman. Slaughter Gym, if you played games in there, usually the middle court was where the best players were. Yeah. The court on the left was the not so great players, and then the in-between usually went to the right. I'd play across all 3 courts just depending on the mood I was in, but me and my buddies were playing on the right court, and we're keeping the court. We're winning, no problem, because we played together all the time. Herman, and I wish I could remember the cornerback's name, but Herman and the cornerback, we thought were going to be sure starters all 4 years they were there, and they ended up being the only 2 guys that started the first game their first year.
So they were freshmen.
They were freshmen coming in. Football season hadn't started yet, and I'm thinking, and everybody knew who Herman was. I mean, he was a huge recruit. Even though he's from the state of Virginia, he was a massive recruit for us because everybody was going after him. And I knew he was the national high jump champion his junior year in high school and again in his senior year. He won the ACC, I think maybe every year that he competed in the high jump for Virginia track. Anyway, they're beating us. They're beating us handily. It's 5 like Division I elite athletes playing me and my knucklehead buddies. They're killing us. But we're still trying. Like you're not going to embarrass us more than we should be. Like we're going to try. So Herman steals the ball. I'm the only guy back. And Herman's my height. And I'm like, I'm going to stop him. And I've never seen Herman do what he was about to do, so I had no idea what was coming. He's coming at me. I'm like, I'm ready for him to make a move left or right. Daggone, he's jumping from that far out. It was almost like a Dr. J kind of jump. He was maybe halfway between the free throw line and the bottom of the dashed semicircle. He stepped right there, and he's going up. I'm like, well, I got this. There's no way he's clearing. So I stand up as straight as I can. I'm going to take a charge in a pickup. I was being an idiot. I should have gotten out of his way. As Herman was coming towards me, the cornerback, God, I wish I could remember his name, yells at me, get out of his way. And I'm like, he's probably worried about me hurting him. And maybe I wasn't going through all this thinking, right, because it's a pretty quick play. Right. He's going up. I'm standing up as straight as I can. He spreads his legs. And his boys popped me right here. And he tomahawk slammed the ball. And this is way before iPhones and
right. Thank goodness for you.
Being posterized in Slaughter Gym, right? Nobody's taking pictures in Slaughter Gym during a pickup game. Game's over. I go up to the cornerback and I said, why were you yelling at me to get out of his way? Were you worried about him getting hurt? He goes, no, man, I didn't want you to look stupid.
I'm like, you got beamed back in the forehead.
Yeah, I should have listened to the guy, man.
What are you going to do?
I'd never seen him do anything. Like there was no video on YouTube of him doing the high jump. Like I had no concept.
Right.
I couldn't fathom there was a guy in the gym with me at the same time playing in the same game that could do what he had done. The
Jumped
game's
over
crazy.
You. That's awesome.
I'm not 5'2", right? I mean, come
nuts.
on.
That's nuts.
And I don't know why the coaching staff was letting those guys play basketball, or maybe they didn't know that they were playing. But
I don't think they did.
If I'm on the coaching staff, there's no way I'm letting Herman Moore play a pickup basketball game.
Well, that's to your point, like when we were playing against those guys, Curtis Staples and Harold Dean and Junior Burrow, and like the coach had to have no idea that they're playing rec ball
against a football team.
Yeah, right. Summer.
Yeah,
I mean, we had some great basketball guys, that were pretty good basketball players in their day, but just went for football. But like nothing like that. Like we had some battles with those guys. It was awesome.
Jay played against the Rampage one time. I know there's a lot of highlights in his life, and I'm surprised that didn't come up. But I don't think you were out there.
How did you find yourself playing against the Rampage?
We were just rec league in Ashland.
Yeah,
and I played against you that night, I think.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, we had a bunch of knuckleheads that I think we probably drank more than we did.
But you're playing in the Ashland League, like at Gandy kind of thing?
It wasn't Gandy.
Liberty.
It
was Liberty?
Chickahominy, I think.
I think it was Chickahominy.
Oh yeah, I used to play in there all the time.
Yeah.
It was a small.
Pretty cool. Well, we knew each other by then.
Yeah.
Just weren't,
Yeah, but guys your size and playing in Chickahominy doesn't seem right because seems like a tiny place.
He's a big guy.
Yeah.
I didn't go down the lane much that night. Nah, I'll stay out here.
Were y'all drinking before the game and after the game?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
But you were laughing most of the game. You had a good time. You didn't look like you were all serious, which you're not, right?
No, it was just a fun pickup game. Stay in shape, run around a little bit, have a good time.
I'll admit I've maybe had a couple drinks before playing too, and it either works out like you can't miss or you can't hit the rim, kind of thing.
Yeah, or softball. The whole I had guys that would get me to come out right when I first got out of college to play softball, and it was like drink a 12-pack between games. And go out and try to.
Nobody was sober.
Yeah, D-League softball in Henrico County.
That's
awesome.
good stuff right there.
Yeah, I did that stuff after college. I did it during college. I would come home from Charlottesville to play in games.
That's awesome.
On like a Tuesday night. It was crazy. I didn't realize I was going to enjoy it so much.
Yeah.
Because I didn't view it as a real sport at the time. But it was a heck of a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely.
They're throwing a ball underhanded. That's what before you get into it, you're like, come on, man. They're just
a lot
of fun.
A lot of college athletes go through that withdrawal, man. Like from the time 5 years old to you're done playing in college, and all of a sudden you stop. Like you're told, everybody gets told, but it's like you got to stop. And then,
Everybody hears that. Even Michael Jordan had to be told at some point. Look, I'm glad you're playing for the Wizards, man. We're really glad that your name's here. But you got to hang it up.
Wizards.
Yeah, you got to hang it up.
The first person that told him to stop, it didn't last long enough. He had to come back.
But it's tough. A lot of these guys go through withdrawals, man. They get done with playing, and like you miss the camaraderie, you miss the hanging out with the guys.
It's a mental health problem.
Right. I mean, you're in there with those guys all that time. You build these strong relationships through working hard and all that kind of stuff, and then you stop. And then it's like, what do you do? And you're looking and you're craving for that kind of interaction, and it's not there. Like,
And you're not getting it from a place like the bakery either.
Yeah. No.
Right. How many people know what the bakery is, you think? We're not going to say the actual name.
Only people that, you've over 10,000 listeners. So.
No, it's not listeners. Let's be clear. Downloads.
Well, I liked it better
No.
as listeners.
It's like 110
Come on,
listeners.
Man. Let me dream.
Yeah.
But
Well, now that you're a pretty regular co-host, Kevin,
I'm sure the
probably
numbers
pick
have
up
skyrocketed.
the number of listeners pretty quickly.
That's right.
So you work at the bakery. How do you? And you're a dad. You're doing dad stuff, and you're working at the bakery.
Yeah. Culture it's really changed a lot. But it goes back to the whole coaching thing. And people, society today, and people giving a shit about each other. Nobody gives a shit about you.
It's weird.
Nobody cares.
I
If
care.
I can get mine, if I can get my $2 from you, I'm going to get it, and screw you and screw everyone. And if you find somebody that's not like that, you're like, oh my God, I want to hug you. Like, and like you be around them. But
They're still out there. They're just not as loud as the
is
others.
that why you hug me every time you see me?
absolutely, buddy.
Okay, cool.
Like, I'm a hugger.
It's good to know.
I don't think I've ever hugged you, Kevin.
Yes, you have.
I'm not really a hugger.
Not sober, but
Brothers
you.
gotta hug.
Yeah.
You aren't really a hugger.
Ed, do you want to explain the sports podcast we're doing? We'll have you back for the sports podcast.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah,
not
yeah.
what this is.
We are.
I mean, we're about to be world famous with this thing.
Yes, we are.
That's awesome.
We're doing a sports podcast, but so far it's just been Paul and I talking about sports. Actually, the last episode we talked about youth sports, some of what we've dabbled in a little bit tonight with the AAU and the rec and all that stuff, the parents, the crazy parents. But yeah, we're doing a sports. It's called Bumper Night, and Bumper Night.
I'm looking at it. I think you've never explained this to him.
No, I haven't. So Bumper Night, back when we first started working at the bakery, Paul lived on Wilkinson Road with a bunch of other dudes.
Yeah.
So we would go over his house on a Thursday night, and I say we, there's probably sometimes there'd be 6, sometimes there'd be 15.
At the height, we got up to over 20 one night, and it was all dudes, like girlfriends, whoever
meat
weren't
festival.
allowed. Yeah, it was a meat festival, no question. And like after midnight, everybody's like feeling really, really good, and I see long hair through the window, and I'm like, is somebody bringing girls in here? They're not allowed. I sent them all away. You can't be here.
Yeah, this wasn't about women. This was about us hanging out and
being dudes and having a couple drinks.
But the reason it's called Bumper Night is 40-ounce malt liquor, and you remember my 40th birthday better than I do.
I do. That's bad.
But you remember the 40-ounce malt liquors I drank that
Are
night?
y'all hot? Are y'all hot?
Jay can tell some funny stories about that night, but and I don't remember that night. But what would happen? He had a 2-tiered couch. Like he had a couch and then some.
It was like stadium seating.
And another couch. And he would go. Everybody would bring a different malt liquor.
And you had to put it in a paper bag.
Put it in a paper bag, and he'd take it behind the couch, and he would number them all himself or whoever did it. And then you would the newest guy goes first.
It was always me. I was the enforcer.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want number 3. Oh, there you go. King Cobra. Oh, that's not too bad. I want number 6, Steel Reserve.
I'll take number 7, horse urine.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you knew by the number you got how bad Friday was going to be at work. So yeah, we do that, and then we go to Denny's.
We did it every Thursday night.
Yeah,
For
it was a blast,
years,
man. It was a blast. He made his wife, wasn't his wife then, but Lisa, his girlfriend at the time, actually made diplomas for people
when
who
you finished your first 40 the first time you showed up. Yeah.
You got your graduation. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it was signed by the president of Bumper Night, one of my roommates, and then I was the enforcer, and I also signed it. My wife made the little. It took like 10 minutes to print those things out because printers weren't very fast back in the early mid '90s.
It was good. She was gung ho about it though.
But see the creativity that came out of that place back in the day.
Yeah, right.
Amazing. It's 307 Wilkinson Road.
So Kevin wants to name the podcast Bumper Night after that.
What do you mean he wants to? That's the name of the podcast.
It's a working title right now, Kevin.
No, it's not.
That's
the
awesome.
name of the podcast.
Well, do you know what a bumper is?
Yeah, it's on my car. I got 2 of them. What do you mean? 40-ounce malt liquor.
Well,
that's explain what a
that's
real
what
bumper is.
I think one of the definitions of the word bumper is a large container filled to the brim. So 40-ounce malt liquor would count.
There you go.
Before you start drinking it.
Colt 45.
Yeah, I got the clocks right up there. It's one of my prized possessions.
Do you have a 40 up there?
You put a 22-ounce or 24-ounce steel reserve up there.
Yeah, so what we do now, so we've had 2 episodes. We taste test a 40. We did Colt 45, the champagne and malt liquors.
Well, are y'all not doing it for my podcast? Like, what?
Well,
am
this
I,
isn't.
like,
This isn't.
This is not bumper.
We can get you one though. I mean, it's not.
Can we? Because they're kind of hard to find.
Well, it's Wednesday night too. That really wouldn't work.
That's true.
Yeah, tomorrow night though.
Thursday night.
It is hard to find because I went to find one before the last episode, and all I could find was that Steel Reserve, which is the 22 can.
Yeah.
But we sipped on it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
The champagne and malt liquors is it's okay.
It's better than
Steel Reserve is one notch away from horse urine.
I can't remember the last time I bought a 40, and I remember finding like a Miller High Life and thinking I had really captured the 40 essence.
Hey, but why would you buy a 40 at this point, right? We're married with kids.
You're basically saying, "Hey, everybody, I'm a middle-aged dude. I'm trying to get hammered right now."
Pretty much. There's other ways to do that quicker.
Right. Yeah.
So
A little more expensive, maybe, but
maybe
depending on your taste.
What's your favorite drink?
I'm a captain. Summertime, Captain and Coke. But like, I'm that old guy. Like I've drank so much over the years. I'll drink beer if I'm picking crabs or playing cornhole or something like that, right? But like, I'm not a big beer drinker.
No,
anymore.
you aren't.
Like I'd have to drink like 30 beers to start getting a buzz, and like it just wouldn't be good for anybody.
See that cup right there?
Yeah.
So that's what something that size usually when he shows up to wherever we're hanging out at the pool or wherever, and he would always back in the day say, "Flip, you want me to get you a drink?" I'm like, "Oh, sure, Jay, that's cool." And he'd bring me something that size, and I'd go, "Oh man, thanks, man." And I'd take a sip and go, "God, are you serious? Did you put any Coke in this at all?" He's like, "Oh man, you're fine, you're fine." So now when he asks me if I want to drink, I go, "No, I'm good, man. I'll find something else."
The Crown in the winter. So those are my drinks. And then every now and then we'll do the Tito's.
Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, I can have like 2 glasses of that and feel great.
Yeah.
No big hangover.
And you're good. Yeah.
That's
good.
Feel
That's good.
Awful.
That's the key now. No hangover, really.
When you got kids and you're going and running and doing, man, you guys know.
Yeah, you don't need all that hangover action.
That's miserable.
You want to hit it with the last question?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Makers for me. I love me some Makers. Tito's is really good vodka. Yeah, those are my 2 go-tos. What about you?
I don't drink, man. You kidding me?
You had bourbon with me a few weeks ago.
I had a little bit, and he knows I don't really drink that much anymore.
Sam Adams summer whatever things you.
Do you know what I drink though? Seriously, when we go to the beach, we'll stop at Powell's Market or the next place. It doesn't matter, and I'll get a big thing of apple cider, and I'll bring my own thing of vodka, and I'll drink that all week. I mean, it's like Kool-Aid.
Does that taste good?
Oh my gosh, it tastes great.
Apple cider.
Apple cider. It's the big jugs they have there.
Okay.
So it's not a hot apple cider. It's like, I'm pretty sure it's apple cider, right?
I guess.
You look at Jay like you know the answer.
Well, he's seen it before.
No, it's apple juice too.
But it's not apple juice. It's like a cider. But they got the blackberry cider there. It depends on what you want.
Is this the only place on earth that sells all this stuff?
Not at all. But it's the only time I get it. And because it's the only time, once again, we've got kids, so I'm not at the beach getting lit up, but I can drink it throughout the day and feel, feel good.
Yeah. It does what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, and I'll smoke a cigar at night. It'll be the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. So none of us are trying to get bombed anymore.
No. Play a little golf. He's fun to play golf with.
Are you good at golf?
No.
I'm awful.
Yeah, I mean, I'm struggling to get 100. Like that's my goal.
Oh, if I scare 100, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Listen though, anytime I've played with Jay, the scores never mattered because he's so much fun to play with. It doesn't matter what your score is because even when I play bad with him, I'm having a good time.
Oh, you know what we forgot to do? Explain how y'all know each other. We didn't do it on the recording.
No, we did. I mean, we talked a little bit about it. He married into the same family I married into.
Yeah, but that was before we recorded, right?
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was.
Well, yeah, we married into the same family.
Yeah,
Right?
we're like
in-laws, once
Yeah,
removed.
something like that.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah.
No, well, be more specific.
I love my wife's family, I really do. But Kevin keeps me sane. He's probably one of the only level-headed people in my wife's family that I can talk to, and I'm just gonna say it. I don't
Do you want me to leave this part in?
care. Yeah, leave it in. I don't care. Okay.
No, yeah, we have it is a great family, but they get together a lot, right? Not as much as they used to.
No.
So
we used to get together quite a
Your
bit.
mother-in-law and Kevin's mother-in-law are twin sisters.
Yes.
Sisters.
Yeah.
Good job. You brought that
You like
together really
that?
well. You did.
Yeah. And I'm not even in the family.
Yeah. There's a lot of kids in the family because
So my mother-in-law has 3 daughters, including my wife, and then we have 3 kids. Candace has 2, Kim has 2.
Candace has 3.
Oh, she does have 3.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Forgot about that. Yeah, but it's like, dude, you go over there and it's like a daycare. Like, and then Flip's got his 3 kids.
Right.
And,
Kids running everywhere.
It's chaos.
I mean, there's always a game going on, wiffle ball.
That's fun most of the time.
Football.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
the kids, and they're different ages too. So like the 2 youngest hang out together, and then the oldest hang out, and then Taylor's over there, with her. She usually brings a friend because she's like the only girl. The oldest and the youngest are girls. The rest are boys.
iPhones, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's unusual.
it is.
That many kids.
It is.
Only 2 girls out of all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good
Yeah.
times. I was blessed with 2 daughters, Jay.
Good for you, Bob.
Yeah.
God bless you.
God
Well,
bless-
that's
God
once
bless me is
again
right.
though. Once again, there's 9 kids in this room right now. 3, 3, and 3.
Yeah.
But you know what? Daughters take care of their dad better, I think.
Typically.
Yeah.
Not always. Typically.
Are you speaking from experience there?
I may have some family members that maybe aren't stepping up like they could.
They don't listen to this, will they?
Never.
Say whatever you want.
No, actually, complete strangers are much more likely to listen to this than people.
They might tell them. They might tell them though.
Maybe.
Well, you got to hear what your
I,
dad
I,
said.
I didn't say any names. It's all good. Neither did Jay. It's perfect. All right, ask your final 17-part question.
It's not a 17-part question. So
I told him to ask one last question. Like, we're going to end this after you ask this question, and he made it a 5-parter. Like,
but, I mean, there's two questions. Which one should I do? The golf one or the Jimmy Fallon one?
the Jimmy Fallon one I enjoy.
All right, so it's an icebreaker I used to do at the bakery,
And you still do.
If you ever hear anybody do it, they stole it.
I got you.
So Jimmy Fallon's sick tonight, and you're taking over. So you can have a male guest, a female guest, and a musical group. Or we've added in comedian, because we had a comedian on here one time.
We've had a comedian.
Kenny Wingle, yes. So
That's how big time we are.
and it could be alive, dead, famous, not famous,
wow.
whatever you want. But male, female, and musical group.
That's crazy. How about throwing somebody on the spot real quick?
Yeah, it's all good. Well, Lionel Bacon. Tell the Lionel Bacon story while Jay's thinking about it.
Oh, well, so and I think you know Lionel.
Yeah.
Lionel had I don't know who his female guest was. It was probably some singer or someone, and his musical group. His musical group was good, but Lionel, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this on the podcast, but he said it on the podcast, so he probably doesn't. He has never met his dad. He's never even seen a picture of his dad. So his male guest,
He didn't know his dad's birthday.
right, was going to be his dad. So he said, people would tune in to see his reaction when his dad comes through the curtain. I said,
that's pretty cool.
That's fantastic. So
No, tell the rest of it, or do you not?
what's the rest of it?
About the research.
Oh, so since then, and Lionel's kept this updated. So he was the main. I shouldn't say main, but he was one of the main contacts for this person doing a documentary on the Final Four team for VCU.
And the program as it led up to
Yep.
that thing.
So, and he was trying to get that person in contact with all these people. Well, he sent her the podcast that he did with us. And she then took it upon herself to do some research and try to find more about his dad.
And she's an
found
old
out-
school researcher. She's not just simply Googling stuff. Like
Right. She's the stuff she found is obviously she's got some pull.
She's not going to find it on Google.
Right. So, and I don't want to, because I don't know exactly. I don't want to mess this up, but I'm pretty sure she found out his birth date.
The dad's birthday.
The dad's birth date. A couple of different things about the dad that Lionel didn't know, and even I think and I don't want to share that because I think that's a surprise he's planning. But
Good.
He was very excited when he called and talked to me about it, and I was like, dude, that's awesome. I mean,
We were very happy for him. Right?
and we make jokes about the podcast all the time. We're changing lives, but sometimes things happen. People hear something and go, and it's like it made us feel
That's
good.
the coolest thing that this
That
podcast
we-
has been a part of.
Yeah. But he's had some ridiculous guests on this podcast. And one of the ones I listened to this week that I hadn't heard yet was John Dow. I don't know if you heard about the Lost Sons of the Sudan.
Lost Boys.
No.
Lost Boys of the Sudan. It's a documentary, and I believe Nicole Kidman and
She narrated
somebody
it.
was, yeah.
Yeah.
he was in that, but it was about his life. And
His life and 2 other guys. Yeah.
I think it's episode 62.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not sure, but check it out. It's an hour long, and it is absolutely amazing what this man went through. And he lives here now in Richmond, with wife and kids, and he runs foundations to try to help send money back to help folks there. But just how he got from where he was as a 12-year-old, I think.
He was 12 when it happened. Yeah.
So now it's unbelievable.
And he's a sweetheart of a guy too. He couldn't be nicer.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, I gave you. We just buffered for a little bit to give you some time.
Okay. So for the guy, like, so I'm just gonna like left or right wing, whatever trickles your boat. Like politics really drives me crazy now.
Of course.
So like for me, I'd love to sit down with Ronald Reagan and just have some conversations, like real deal conversations about what's like really going on behind the scenes in the country.
There's a lot of power playing going on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But like that would be like one of the people I'd really want to talk to, as far as like a talk show, stuff like that.
And you were young when he was president.
Yeah,
like 6 years old, right?
But like a lot of the principles and stuff that like that was installed during that administration. Like I got all kinds of conspiracy theories and all that kind of crap. I'm not going to go into of how the world works today, but it is what it is. But for the girl, you're gonna laugh because I was a big Dallas fan as a kid, and Victoria Principal, man.
Oh man,
I can't.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Like and I love my wife more than anything in the world, but love to talk to Victoria Principal for she's just a magical angel that came down from heaven.
And why wouldn't you want to talk to her?
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
And what was the other one? Like
musical guest.
Musical guest.
Or comedian. You can go either way.
Let's do both of those. I want to hear your favorite comedian and your favorite musical guest.
So I'm a laid back guy. I'm a big Jimmy Buffett guy. Like,
Sure.
Be cool to sit down and that guy's been around forever. Like, think of the stories that guy can tell you about all the different bands and people he's met and played with. It'd be interesting to kind of have that conversation.
I think it's fun music.
Yeah, laid back.
Do you know where he went to college?
I do not.
Southern Miss.
Oh wow.
I don't know the perfect story, but he almost graduated. There's some technicality for why he didn't graduate, and he started getting big before he technically graduated, and so he didn't need to go back and graduate. And Southern Miss reached out to him multiple times because he made it big. He didn't give him a dime over a technicality.
Wow.
They wouldn't let him graduate.
That's a tough one to take.
That's quite the Southern Miss.
Yeah. Nice,
Well done.
nice play on words, Kevin.
Well done. And then obviously comedian, Eddie Murphy, man, like all time great. Like I'm sorry, like,
You can't go wrong with that.
I'm just
Eddie Murphy in the '80s was insane.
even now, like when he went back to like I don't know if y'all caught the Saturday Night episode,
Yeah.
but he went back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And like it was all this big uproar. Oh, Eddie, you can't say that. It was like, thank God he came back and just was funny. It wasn't about
Anything
any
else.
He was just
political
trying to be funny.
situation. It was just having a good time. It was Eddie being funny and having a good time.
Yeah.
Right? And just that's what the world's missing.
Yep.
Like, just lighten up, and people are so upset with themselves that they piss up. They're so mad at everybody else because of it. And it's just that's the world we live in today. It's terrible. But yeah, like I would love to sit down and shoot shit. Like just every interview I've seen with the guys, like you're laughing. So that would be my
Eddie can't help but be funny.
He rolls out of bed funny.
Yeah, but I think he got tired at some point in the '90s of just being funny on camera all the time. Like I think he needed to walk away.
If you made Pluto Nash, you'd probably stop for a little bit too.
It's a good movie, man.
I'm not sure that's why he stopped.
You said that's a good movie.
I never saw it.
Caddyshack.
Sometimes you just got to kick back with your millions and enjoy your life.
Yeah, I don't blame him for it, but
Right.
I think
Yeah, he could do whatever, and he didn't care about being judged.
Well, he came back strong with the when he was the animal doctor. What's the name of that movie?
Doolittle.
Dr.
Doolittle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the clumps. Yeah, what was that?
Oh, that's Nutty Professor. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Dave Chappelle in that movie was really good. Remember he was the comedian that
That's right.
threw him in the piano. Oh boy.
Yeah, the dinner scenes with that one was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's playing all 5 parts
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah, it's good.
Coming
times.
to America. Anyway, we could go all night.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy's a good answer. He's in my top 3 all-time comedians.
I like it. I like
Yeah,
it.
but like, so I know we're doing a podcast, but like the last thing I could say for whoever listens, right? The big thing that the message I want to give to everybody is be good to your neighbor. And like, my God, like we live in a world now where people want to find division wherever they can, whether for whatever reason they can. And like, if you look at people, like you'll realize that you got more in common with people than you do differences. You really do. Like, and people don't take time to sit there and notice that and figure out that they're being manipulated. Like, you know, we live in a land where social media is everywhere. Like, you're 24/7 thrown in your face with this opinion or that opinion or this political view or that political view, and all politicians, right? Like they love bucketing people for specific reasons. Like that, they'll throw you in a bucket, say all black, all white, all cops, all Asian, all Hispanic, all whatever, right? Whatever that bucket is, and they'll manipulate that bucket against the other bucket to get more votes for themselves, for power and money. And they don't care about you or me or anybody, right? It's that whole forgotten thing of like, you know, look after your neighbor. Like, yeah, it's funny because like we used to go camping all the time, and like campground people are just awesome. Like they want to reach out, they want to help you. Like, hey, you got a problem? Hey, let me help you, give you a hand. Like, and you know, even in my own neighborhood, like their neighbors that won't even talk to you or look at you. You know what I mean? And like I go to a campground, I meet people from Georgia or Atlanta or New York or wherever, and we're hugging each other. Like, I've never met this guy before in my life, and I got a neighbor who won't even come out of his house and look at me.
Right.
It's the crazy society we live in, and like these politicians are pushing their views on people. People are taking it, and like, oh, all of a sudden I hate this group or I hate that group, and I don't have no idea. Like, the bottom line is there's genuinely good people in this world, in every background, in every culture, and there's genuinely evil people in every background and every culture. Like, the bottom line is character. Like, you either respect yourself and respect people around you, or you don't. Like, and the people that don't waste your time on them. Like if you're unhappy, like, don't waste your time on those people. And if you are, like, find happiness in your life. Like, life's too short. Go enjoy it.
Yeah. Find people that care about you and that lift you up.
Yeah, and you care about people. Be a leader. Be a beacon. Be a champion. Like, don't be a victim, right? Like, every one of us can sit here around, like every one of us in this world got a cross to bear. There's something that went wrong in our life at some point, and we could all sit there and bitch about it, complain about it, and start a riot and start complaining. But like, instead of doing that, why don't you reach out and champion some people and like help some people? Like that's the difference, right? You can either be a light or you can be the darkness and drive people down and start complaining. Like, so that's the big thing. Like, you know, you want to teach people or reach out to people, make people realize, like, don't be manipulated. Like, you got politicians that are going for power and control, and then like people are buying in left and right. No matter what, if you're on right wing or left wing, like, we're all on the same bird.
I think there's something missing in their life. You know what
absolutely.
I mean? And they got something to cling on. I'll tell you what, Jay, and that's well said, by the way. Just to help out with that situation, do you need a ride home?
Yeah,
I got
yes,
you.
I do.
I got you. See how I did that?
You're a giving person.
I'm helping my neighbor.
Of course, Jay.
It's a long walk.
Jay had a safe assumption that you're going to be giving him a ride home since you gave him a ride over
Yeah,
here.
you drove me.
Jay could ball me up and throw me in the trash. I'll give him a ride home or ride wherever he wants to go.
Cool.
I love it.
Yeah, Jay, well said, especially at the end there. Appreciate you joining us, man.
Thanks, man.
You're a little bit bigger than I remember you the last time you were here.
LB's, baby.
No, I'm talking about height.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't think it's a shot at a man's girth.
He's actually you've lost some weight
Thanks,
recently.
Kevin.
Yeah, you have.
Thanks. I went from super fat ass to just fat ass.
Well, appreciate you joining us, man. Really do.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to wherever you listen to podcasts. We'd also really appreciate if you'd rate and review us. You can find us at scodupodcast.com.